Welcome to the Vol Bros, presented by the Ooltewah Club. My name is Evan. This is my brother Ruston, and we are two Vol Bros who are actually bros in real life. And as always, we are very appreciative of the Ooltewah Club. I hadn't played their little intro video in a long time. I should probably do that. This is the Ooltewah Club you're seeing here on the screen, 365 pool there all year round. Took that last fall, and it's just beautiful out there. So, looking forward to getting back out there soon. And as always, we are very appreciative of the Believe Entertainment Network. We are proud to represent the University of Tennessee on that entertainment network. Not a whole lot happening on Rocky Top right now this weekend, other than the Lady Vols just completely obliterating Winthrop today. I've got a couple thoughts about that. Ruston, what do you think about what the Lady Vols did today?
I thought it was good to see that they took some time. They clearly worked on some of the things that they need to work on as far as defensive transition, defensive rotation. I thought there were a lot of bright spots. That's not a terrible Winthrop team. That team was 7-4. Their other three games.
There.
Yeah, their other three games against Power 4 teams were Marquette, South Carolina, and SMU. Marquette beat them by 20 or 32. South Carolina beat them by 50, and SMU beat them by 23. So for us to beat them by 72, I mean, that's 22 points better than South Carolina did. I felt like we did a good job of running our stuff to get open looks, actually hitting the open looks, and just in general, winning every 50-50 ball, winning every possession, it felt like. We out-rebounded them by 20. We scored more points from three than they did the entire field. We shot as many free throws we made as many free throws as they attempted. We had 22 more fast break points than them. We had 30 more paint points than them. We had 20 more second chance points. We had 20 more points off turnovers. Like when you look at all the hustle points, we didn't just win every hustle point. We obliterated them in every hustle point. So, I hope the positive from this is they take this, they build off of it. Weirdly, they don't have to play again until Saturday, so they've got 6 days to prepare for Louisville and build off of what they did today. I think all the way around, it's a huge positive. It was good to see them respond to some things that they needed to fix, and I'm curious to see where they go from here. And I've criticized her greatly, so I will praise her. Jersey Wolfenbarger finally decided to start playing. So I don't know what happened in the week and a half off, who got in her head and explained to her that she's 6'5" and it was time to act like it. She was a lot more aggressive today. She was attacking the rim. She had 6 points, 6 rebounds in 16 minutes. I still want to see more of Lauren Hurst. She got 12 minutes today. She scored 5, had 2 steals, 2 rebounds in 12 minutes. That's what top 50 high school seniors do. So I still want to see more of her. They got to figure out how to get Kanaya Boyd going. Like they're trying to work her in, and it's just not connecting right now. For some reason, she's not in the flow of everything else everybody else is doing. But overall, I thought it was a really good day. I thought they played extremely well, did the right things. It's not often you see 2 double-doubles in the same game in different ways. Janai Barker had 17 and 10, as in 10 rebounds.
The normal
and
way.
then, the normal double-double. And then Mia Paldo had 18 and 10, 18 points, 10 assists. So really good day for her as well.
Which I guess could be considered the normal way for a point guard. But she was shooting the ball in the first half very, very well. It's interesting that you mentioned we beat them by 22 more than South Carolina did. We made them they just look bad. And I'd say this is, historically Winthrop is a reputable basketball program, men's and women's basketball program. So
Mm-hmm.
I'd say I think we could legitimately say this was the first time that Kim's desire, her system came into effect in a major way, because today was the first, like, they smelled blood in the water kind of day.
Mm-hmm.
You watch, particularly near the end of the first quarter, beginning of the second quarter, Winthrop's just frustrated. They got frustrated because they weren't making shots. They because there was contested. Um, they they were tired, and Tennessee was just running in waves of people. And so late in the first quarter, they started getting really sloppy. Winthrop did, on trying to break a not a very intense, I would say, 3/4 court press. I mean, like, they weren't even like all out denying the ball entry, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
They they were just doing, a semi pressure full court press kind of thing. Um, with that being said, when Tennessee noticed that Winthrop was really struggling to get the ball across half court with the minimal pressure that they were putting on him, then they're like, okay, well, now the game's over. And they started really putting pressure on him full court. And Winthrop just collapsed. Like I said, it was a they blood in the water moment for the Lady Vols. And they actually did what everybody would want them to do this time. They actually kind of, you know, took advantage of it and used it. They used it for their advantage. And by halftime, gosh, the game was over at halftime.
Yeah.
Uh, so
Well, second quarter was 39-8. I mean, it's hard
yeah,
to recover from that.
absolutely. So I think that's probably the biggest positive that Tennessee could take away from it, and Kim Caldwell can use in the future. Is like, look, when you do what we want you to do, this is what happens. Winthrop they were just, I don't know if it's because they were just bad or we were forcing them to be bad, or probably a combination of both. But they
I think it
were
was a
struggling,
little.
and
I think it was a little bit of both, and I think at one point, especially in the second quarter, it became psychological. Like they could not. Winthrop didn't believe that they could move the ball against us.
no, for sure. It was. I mean, they just gave up essentially. Like, it was kind of sad to watch. But if I could give one piece of advice to Lauren Hurst, that would be this: close out quickly on shooters. That would be my one piece of advice to her. Um, you know, she's trying to convince Kim Caldwell that she needs to be on the court right now. Everybody knows she can shoot. I think Kim knows she can shoot. I think the reason that Lauren isn't getting on the court as much as she would hope is probably the defensive end of the court. Well, when you get in there, you're only going to be in there for less than 2 minutes. And I think her first time in the game, late in the second quarter, she was only in for about 40 something seconds. When you're in the game, you have to show the coaching staff you can't afford to take me off the court. You have to do everything the way you should do it. And the first two shot attempts over her, she didn't close out fast enough, and they were both good. Like, my girl made both shots. She just kind of, like, took a step towards her, that kind of thing, and they're like, "Oh, I better get out there." And by that point, she'd already caught it or shot the ball. So my one piece of advice to Lauren Hurst would be close out on shooters quicker. At least contest the shot, because it didn't look good for her. I'm just saying, like, on those two plays, like, I was like, Lauren, you can't do that. You can't afford to do that. You got to show these coaches that you're going to be 110% all the time. So that would be my one piece of advice to her. Um, we kind of took better care of the ball today. There was less chucking it to no one kind of stuff, which was nice. That ball contains all your hopes and dreams, and so you got to take care of it. And we did a better job of that today, and we certainly forced them to not take care of the ball, which was also nice. So I mean, it's hard to say anything negative really about today's game. It was one team that vastly superior outmatched the other team, and hopefully they can use this in a positive way in the future. Hopefully they can use it in a positive way on Saturday because they got to play Louisville next. Speaking of Louisville, the men also play Louisville. Men play Louisville tomorrow. No, wait. Tomorrow's Monday. Tuesday. the men play Louisville on Tuesday.
Yeah.
It's
they've got Louisville. They got Louisville on Tuesday and then Gardner Webb on Sunday.
For some reason I had my days mixed up there for a second. So I mean, you got to be happy for the Lady Vols today. It was a good day for them. Let's see what we got in the comments. Eric, welcome, buddy. Good to have you. He said, hey, Evan and Ruston. David's with us. Welcome, David. Good to have you. He said, good evening, Evan and Ruston. Lady Vols had a great win. Not having Ruby Whitehorn is really showing, though, against top competition. That UCLA loss was brutal. That is correct. It was. And we've got Louisville next. That is exactly right. Elijah's here. Elijah, we're glad you're here, man. As a watch party fan member right there. Mississippi Vol, welcome, buddy. He said, get those requests, dedications, likes, and subscribes in. That's what I'm talking about. Jonathan, welcome, bud. Glad you're here. He said, hello, Evan and Ruston chat family. Hope everybody has had a great weekend. Don't forget to tell your mom and them about the Vol Bros. I think that's a great idea. Text a buddy about the Vol Bros. It's been a while since I've said that. Richard, hey, Richard's here from Massachusetts tonight. Woo, world traveler. I hope you're warm, man, because it's cold down here. I can tell you that much. I think our low for tonight is 17 with a wind chill of like 7, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be crazy cold. Let's see here. Bobby, welcome, Bobby. Good to have you. He said, good evening, Vol Bros and family. Let's see here. David mentioned Arion Carter, so we'll come back to that here in just a moment because I do want to talk about that. I'm going to come back to that comment too about Colton Hood. Richard said, I think by the commitment to hire Jim Knowles, we're going to get some dudes on defense, more coaching staff changes coming. Yeah, for sure. Both, I 100% agree on both those. Let's see. Eric said, I'm not a big basketball fan, but I'll watch March Madness, but I always pull for the Vols win. Absolutely. David said the one knock on Knowles is that he is an elite recruiter. He's not an elite recruiter. It's not his thing. He's more X's and O's. Yeah, it could be a situation where, he's got other guys that does recruiting for him and kids know that it's going to be a great defense. So that's why they're going to come play for it. I don't see, could be wrong, but I don't see Jim super up to date on the TikTok and the Twitter and all that kind of stuff. I could be wrong though.
That's why he'll bring at least one, probably two of his top assistants from Penn State with him. And if it's the two that I think it's going to be, they're both very strong recruiters.
Dexter, glad you're with us. He said girls look so much better today, playing together better. Jersey looks so much better, needs to keep improving. Let's see. Yeah, she actually was being aggressive and going for the ball, which was nice instead of just standing there. It's good when you're not captain of the just standing there team. That's good. Mississippi Vol said it was definitely a performance they can build off of. I'm anxious to see how our men come out looking against Louisville on Tuesday. Me too, buddy. Me too.
It's going to be a tough game.
Absolutely. See how they respond without Cade. It's going to be interesting.
That Louisville team is insanely hot right now. They've been playing really, really well, and they smoked Memphis the other night. They couldn't miss.
Like 20-something points.
Hit 18 threes.
Yeah, that's never a good thing when you're the opposing team. 18 threes is not a good night, not a recipe for a win. Tony said, Ruston, I see it different. I'm assuming that's Wolfenbarger.
Yep.
Can't play. That team today was not good. When conference play starts, she will hurt us more than she helps.
I didn't say she magically got better. I said I'll give her credit that she played well today because I've been the most vocal person, outspokenly vocal person about she doesn't need to be on the court at all. Both things can be true at the same time. She can play well today, and I can still say that all of her minutes need to go to Prawl, Civil, and Hurst.
Billy asked a good question here. It's a channel member. He said, one thing I'm wondering about these guys that are juniors and they go to the NFL, since they left college, did they lose their diploma since they didn't finish? So here's what's interesting about Tennessee football. They specifically, one of the recruiting pitches that they give is that they will have them graduate in 3 years. That's one of the recruiting pitches because they know they can't enter the league in the NFL until 3 years after they graduate high school. And so they strategically create their schedules to where over the summer, they take enough classes during those first 3 summers that they graduate within 3 years. If they get on campus early, like all the mid-year enrollees that'll be coming on campus over, well, probably about 2 weeks from now, when they get all there and they're practicing with the team for the bowl game and stuff like that, those dudes are going to start even earlier. They're going to start a whole semester before the guys that get here in the summer. So it makes it even easier for them to graduate in 3 years. That's their goal. Now, if they don't graduate and they go to the NFL, then yeah, they do not have a diploma from the university. They can come back and finish at a later time with the credits that they do have. And that helps Tennessee's, was the APR, is that what Academic Progress Report?
Yeah.
It helps them with that later on because you have to have you have to meet certain standards and requirements for that to even be able to field a team. But that's the main pitch, is that when they go into somebody's living room and they're talking with their parents, they're telling them, we will have you graduated in 3 years and in the league in 3 years. That's what they're telling them.
And for the ones that can't pull that off, they, again, the APR matters. So every Division I school, if a guy gets drafted, they can't have their scholarship anymore, but they can pay to finish their degree online so that they can, number one, have that degree, and number two, help the school's APR.
Let's see. Bobby said Lady Vols seem to need to move to the basket off the ball on offense. Wolfenbarger was the only one really doing that tonight. She picked up a couple offensive rebounds doing that. They certainly did get a little 3-ball happy, and that's part of it, I guess. But there's a couple times when Lauren Hurst actually cut back door and they threw the ball where she would have been on the wing and it went out of bounds.
Yeah. This team needs to learn that they need to score 75% of their points in the paint. Like they've got to attack the basket relentlessly.
David said, is it just me or is Kim not playing Hurst or Prawl because they're not ready?
Prawl's in a 10-man rotation. She plays 17, 18 minutes every night.
Yeah, she played a good bit tonight too. Lauren's the one. Lauren and Wynn, those two are the ones that never see the floor. Tony said Lauren plays better defense and offense than Wolfenbarger. I've heard Lauren might go more to volleyball later. Don't know.
I don't see that.
I think Lauren, if she doesn't get on the court, will be wearing a different jersey next year, is what I'm going to guess, because she wants to play. Like, notice on the bench, there's 2 or 3 players that don't take their shooting shirts off because they know they're not getting in for a while. Not her. She has her shooting, like, put me in the game. Like, she wants to be on the court. She sits over there the whole game with no shooting shirt on, ready to go, in uniform, ready to go. Wynn and a couple other people, they wait a while, if ever, to take their shooting shirt off. Not Lauren. She's ready to rock and roll from the tip. So, she wants to be in the game. and I have a feeling it could. I hope I'm wrong, but I have a feeling that it might be a similar situation to what we saw this year with one or two players. And if she doesn't get in the game, she's going to go somewhere where she can get in the game. Elijah said, coming up on conference play quick Tuesday is an absolute must win. I don't know if it's a must win, but it sure would be a nice win. This, unfortunately, they're stacking losses, and that's the problem. So at some point you got to turn that ship around for sure. Dester said the girls playing in New York on Saturday. That is true. And then next Monday night at home.
Yep.
Billy said he's not a basketball fan either, but he watches March Madness. Go Vols. John said, I saw where Gardner is the only position coach that is on an expiring contract or close to expiring contract. I hope they get him re-signed soon. Rodney Gardner could probably ask for whatever in the world he wants, and they would be happy to give it to him.
I think the issue isn't so much re-signing. The issue is, what does he want to do? There's been some personal issues he's been dealing with for several months. There's always the off chance he may just retire. Like you just don't know where he is personally. And, him not re-signing has nothing to do with anything other than he's trying to figure out what his next step is.
So I'm going to put Eric's comment on a question on the screen here, and that's going to lead us into the comments earlier about Arion Carter declaring for the draft. Eric said, so do you guys think since the bowl games are less relevant, it would be a good time to play the backups to get reps in?
I think every bowl game is going to be nothing but backups for a lot of reasons. If you watch the Washington-Boise game the other night, I mean, there were dudes getting massive playing time that people didn't even know they were. And, it's what every bowl game is going to be that doesn't count toward the playoff. You're going to have guys who are potentially going pro who just aren't going to risk injury and aren't going to play. You're going to have guys who were playing banged up during the regular season who are like, I'm taking this one off. I need to heal. You're going to have guys who are graduated who are going to say, I played my last game. I'm not playing anymore, who just aren't going to play. You're going to have guys who have graduated who are going to try to stay healthy for the Senior Bowl and that kind of stuff. Like, these bowl games are going to be nothing but second and third stringers. They're going to be the other night we called them glorified scrimmages.
The Senior Bowl thing is a very real proposition. I mean, we've seen multiple Vols do that within the last couple of years, even. So that's a very real thing because they know there's going to be pro scouts all week long at that Senior Bowl practice, and they got to be there to show them what they can do. David said, would Coach Chop be the defensive line coach if Garner retires? Well, I think Jim Knowles would have a whole lot of say.
I think that would be up. I think that would be up to. I think it's interesting that it leaked out almost a week ago that Arkansas was targeting Marion Hobby for their defensive line coach. For those of you who don't know, Marion was a defensive analyst for Tennessee this year, and I think that might be why he hasn't announced he is the defensive line coach at Arkansas, that he might be waiting on Rodney Garner to decide what he's doing. And if Rodney Garner decides, to retire or he's not coming back or whatever, our defensive line coach is sitting right there in Marion Hobby. And that should be a very short conversation. You're talking about a guy who first of all, is a Vol. Number two, coached in the NFL for a very long time. And has more experience than anybody else on that staff at a high level. So I think it's interesting that he has not been hired yet by Arkansas, even though they've been talking about it for almost a week.
Elijah makes a great point here. And Elijah, I 100% agree with what you're saying. He said that Syracuse loss is going to be getting worse and worse the further the season goes. Potentially. This is the part that I agree with right here for sure. And we need to get another big out-of-conference win before conference play. That Houston win can only carry so much weight. Now, here's my take on that. And I agree with you over and over, year by year, when March rolls around, we constantly see people talking about quad one wins and wins out of conference that were big wins, that kind of thing, in the resume thing on ESPN. Like, here's this team's resume, key wins, key losses, that kind of stuff. Well, unfortunately for Tennessee right now, there is one game on there because I don't think the Rutgers win is going to be considered a key win. But there's one game on there, the Houston game, that I think will show up as a key win. Unfortunately, there are now at least two that are going to show up as key losses. And so I think that's a fantastic take. I think that you're right. It would help them tremendously to get another big out of conference win. That when first week of March rolls around and they're showing Tennessee on the screen on ESPN, they have a Louisville win in that key wins column.
One other thing about Marion Hobby, and I just checked the dates to make sure before I said this. In 2010, Jim Knowles was the defensive coordinator at Duke under David Cutcliffe. Who was his defensive line coach? That would be Marion Hobby. Marion Hobby would have continued to be his defensive line coach, but Clemson really wanted Jim Knowles' system, and so they hired Marion Hobby to be their defensive coordinator and took him away from Jim Knowles. So there is a history there. They have coached together. He went to Clemson and ran Jim Knowles' system before he went back to the NFL. So I would almost bet that that's why we have not heard anything about Marion Hobby getting hired at Arkansas yet.
That's well done, Ruston. That's next level stuff right there. That's what I'm talking about. So one of the things Ruston mentioned about bowl games becoming less relevant was because people are opting out and getting ready for the draft, which is totally understandable. It's a business decision. Arion Carter was one of those people. David said, I saw where Arion Carter declared for the draft. He's probably a third to fourth rounder as middle linebacker. David said, my guess is Colton Hood declares next. 100% agree. There's no way Colton Hood returns.
He'll wait till after the pro day. He'll want to hear from somebody specifically that he's definitely a first or second rounder. But once he hears that from a NFL team, he'll declare.
John said it shocked me that Arion Carter declared for the draft. Y'all think Thielander will be a good fit for Knowles' defense? So, do you want to answer that first, and then I'll talk about what all happened on the Twitters this week with a tweet we had?
I think so. I'm not surprised that Arion Carter declared. That told me the fact that he did it so fast told me that his agent has talked to an NFL franchise who has said, we're taking him. Nobody declares that early unless they have a very definitive reason. It is a weak linebacker draft, so that's playing to his favor as well. As far as Jeremiah Thielander, one of the guys that Jim Knowles may bring with him is Dan Connor. Connor was a linebacker at Penn State, played in the NFL for a little while after that. He's a lunatic. And that's as gracious as I can be.
In a good way.
he's flat crazy. I could very much, and he thrived coaching with Jim Knowles because he teaches middle linebackers the way Jim Knowles wants a middle linebacker to be. Jeremiah Thielander would fit that perfectly. And I think we would see being around Dan Connor, who I believe they're going to bring with them, would be a huge positive for Jeremiah Thielander because he could embrace his inner lunatic, and we would probably see a different Thielander than we've seen to this point.
He's a lunatic in a good way.
Yeah. Think
Well, with that being,
Latimer. Think Latimer on the program type mentality.
yeah, that's exactly what I was just thinking of. Actually, that's, I mean, literally, I had that image in my mind when you're saying that. David said, I looked up the top ML middle linebacker draft picks recently. They were taken in the third round because they aren't as valued as edge linebackers. So here's the thing. I was somewhat surprised that Arion. Well, let me say this. I'm not surprised.
Hold on, before you say that, third round money in the NFL can't get remotely close to being touched by NIL. NIL money can't get close to third round in the NFL money. So if he gets a third round grade or somebody has told him they're taking him, it's a no-brainer.
Well, I mean, I think we saw that with Cade Mays. I mean, Cade Mays straight up said, Jason Swain asked him point blank, would you come back? And he said, if I can get third round money, then I'll come back. Well, guess what? He didn't come back. I mean, like, it was that simple. Like, he knew he'd done his homework. He knew that he was going to, his projected draft grade was third round. And so he was like, if I can get that much money here, yeah, I'll come play another year. But he couldn't. So he went pro. Now, about Arion Carter, it doesn't surprise me that he declared for the draft. It did surprise me that he declared that fast. That's what surprised me. I do think this. Could he have benefited from returning? Maybe. Honestly, I don't know if he could have benefited that much from returning because, let's be honest, he was arguably the best linebacker in the SEC this year. I mean, certainly top 5 and really pretty easily you could say top 3 linebackers in the SEC. And so if you can say that about your season, what if something happens next year? What if that turf toe injury isn't a turf toe? What if it's something more severe? This is his best opportunity, really, when you really take a step back and you evaluate his prospects, for next season as a Vol or going pro. This is really his best opportunity because he's coming off a year when people are saying, like, not just the Vol Bros, but people, national media, people at ESPN, people who cover the SEC network, that kind of thing. They're all saying he was one of the best linebackers in the SEC. Well, if that's the case, you got to take advantage of that and, strike while the iron's hot kind of thing. So that doesn't surprise me. Now, this is what surprised me. Every once in a while on the interwebs, people have very interesting takes. And Ruston tweeted out when it was announced that Arion Carter had declared for the draft. Ruston tweeted out from our Vol Bros account that linebacker was now a crucial position in the transfer portal. Now, I happen to agree wholeheartedly with what Ruston said. But man, I was shocked at how many people said, nah, we're stacked at linebacker. Those are literally their exact words. We are stacked at linebacker. They said things like, we're so deep at linebacker. We don't need another linebacker. Get people in the secondary. That's what we really need. Now, listen, I agree. We also need people in the secondary. But I invite everybody watching. We got 215 people watching across all 3 platforms right now. I invite everybody watching to consider how stacked our linebacker room is for next year. Keeping in mind that we are the same fan base that demand wins right now. This is a win now or get fired league. That's the way it is. I mean, people were calling for Heupel's job this year after loss number 2. Okay, we lost 2 more after that. So if people are calling for his job after the second loss, He cannot afford to not put dudes out on the field that are going to win right now, especially next year when our schedule gets very, very much harder than it was this year. Here's our stacked linebacker room, our returning linebackers. We have one guy with more than 1 year of on-field experience at Tennessee. One guy. That's Jeremiah Thielander. We then have 3 other guys who have 1 year of on-field playing experience in the SEC. That's Edwin Spillman, which, listen, I'll give me Edwin Spillman any day of the week. Y'all know that. He was my pick for breakout player of the year this year. We have Jaden Parlati and Jaden Harmon. We have 3 guys.
And Jaden Harmon played very limited snaps.
Very limited snaps, exactly. Really, you have 2 guys with 1 year experience and then 1 guy with 3 to 4 games worth of experience. In no universe is that a stacked linebacker room. You cannot expect to walk out there next year in the SEC with the schedule that we have to play Texas, we have to play Georgia, we have to play LSU, we got to play Texas A&M. Not Georgia, I meant Bama. We got to play Bama, Texas, LSU, A&M. We're going to have to play Vanderbilt again, which who knows what all's going to happen with that whole situation with Pavia. But you cannot expect to walk out there and have a 10-win season with the 4 guys I just mentioned as the only primary 4 guys returning at linebacker. You can't do it. That's unrealistic. That is an unrealistic expectation.
I think the other thing people need to realize is, somebody just made a comment about Edwin Spillman at middle linebacker. Edwin Spillman isn't a Jim Knowles middle linebacker. Like, this is a linebacking core that was built for how Tim Banks likes to play defense. Tim Banks and Jim Knowles are nothing alike. So the guys who are in the linebacker room right now may not necessarily be playing the same position come spring.
Yeah, that's
fair. Jeremiah Thielander is a stereotypical Penn State middle linebacker. He'll be in that spot. Edwin Spillman's probably a weak side linebacker in Penn State's system. Jaden Parlati is probably a weak side linebacker in Penn State's system. I don't know that we have a strong side linebacker in Penn State's system on our entire roster right now. So, because that dude for them isn't just a strong side linebacker. A lot of times he walks up as a defensive end. Jaden Harmon's too short. He doesn't fit that mold. So I would see Jaden Harmon being the backup middle linebacker behind Thielander, Spillman and Parlati at the will. I don't know that we have a Sam backer in Jim Knowles' system. So there's going to have to be some movement in that room. There's going to have to be some dudes added.
Absolutely. They got to go in the portal. They got to bring in at least 1 or 2 guys with valuable Power 4 experience who can step in and make an impact right away. Because injuries happen. Think about what this year would have been like if we hadn't gotten Colton Hood. We were feeling good. We're feeling real good about our DB room. Man, we got Jermon McCoy out there. We got Ricky Gibson out there. Oh, and then we didn't have them out there. We felt good. We had Jalen McMurray as depth. We had all these guys as depth spots. We had Boo Carter as depth. And then all of a sudden, nope, we didn't have all that.
Jordan Burns somebody mentioned Jordan Burns. Jordan Burns is probably big enough to play the Sam backer in Jim Knowles' system, but even he's a little undersized for it. Like they typically like a huge dude in that spot. And I don't know that we have anybody who fits that mold.
Jonathan said T-Lander has always seemed like he has a screw or two loose, and that makes the best linebacker. That's exactly right. David said he thinks that Arion would start in the NFL right now. He certainly gives some dudes a run for their money. He said Spillman's our next great middle linebacker. He mentioned several dudes on roster. Let's see. Jonathan said, I wouldn't say we are stacked at linebacker, but if nobody transfers, we have a pretty good base to build on. Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. But we certainly, like people were saying, we're so deep at linebacker, it's stacked. I'm like, nope, that is not accurate. Eric said Pavia says he's entering the draft. He says that right now. Wait until he finds out his draft grade, and teams are like, well, you can't see over the offensive line. So, I mean, like looking at pictures of him next to the other dudes, he's not tall enough to be an NFL quarterback. He's just not. And so his draft grade is going to be really low. He's going to realize he can actually make more money if he does come back. And so then all of a sudden you're going to see him really pushing for that lawsuit to win, for him to be given another year of eligibility. And then we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Tony said, don't know about next year. Ben Bolton played some this year. He did. That form, or at least former walk-on, maybe a current walk-on. I can't remember.
I would expect Ben to be going somewhere else. That's a guy who does not fit Jim Knowles' system and is not going to ever fit.
David mentioned Christian Gass.
Yeah, there's two problems there. Number one, they've already said they're moving him to edge, so they're planning on putting him at defensive end. Number two, I don't see Jim Knowles against this schedule starting a true freshman.
That's exactly the thing.
I don't see that happening.
I'm basing it off returning experience, because that's what wins in the SEC. And people are like, well, Jaden Perlotti had a great year. Sure, he did as a true freshman. Let me rephrase that. For a true freshman, he sure did. He also was one of the primary reasons why late in the third quarter against Vanderbilt, Diego Pavia busted an 18-yard run on 3rd and 12 for a first down, because we had a true freshman who got way out of position and allowed him to escape. So Perlotti had a phenomenal year. He had a lot of highlight moments, but his true freshmanness, I don't know what to say, showed through a couple times. And that's the thing. Like, people are wanting us to go 10-2 right now, be in the playoff. You got to have dudes like a senior, veteran dudes to do that. You just do. I believe Orange said, did you guys see where Tennessee rugby won the national championship? They sure did. National championship. Everything's school, baby. I thought about tweeting out our shirts, everything school shirts for that. Let's see. I believe Orange said, is Tuesday a must win for Tennessee basketball? No. They can lose and still, get in the tournament in the future. Will it help them in the tournament? Yes. It'll be a nice resume builder. But it's not like must win is like you win or go home kind of thing. We're not to that point yet. Let's see here. I think I got all the comments. How about that?
David said Gass will be a redshirt freshman. Yes, that's correct. He will, but he still hasn't stepped on the field. And so I don't see them putting a freshman out there against this schedule. And if you look on the Tennessee football website, they've got him listed as a defensive lineman. So I don't think they have any intention of moving him to linebacker.
Yeah, I totally agree with Jonathan's take here. He said, "I can't stand Pavia running his mouth. He needs to learn from Joey." Yeah, he
That kid,
embarrassed himself this weekend.
that's an understatement.
Yeah,
That kid's despicable.
yeah, yep. He embarrassed himself in a big, big way this
I,
weekend.
I don't know how any human being can sit and listen to that Heisman acceptance speech, which could be one of the best Heisman speeches ever, and hear the humility in that kid, hear the life circumstances that that kid has lived with and grown from, and then immediately go partying and get a sign made that says Indiana sucks, and then put on video a commentary of how much you can't stand the kid that won the Heisman. Like,
Yeah, that's a nice version of what the sign said. It actually included an F word.
yeah.
um,
Well, there was actually, I think, multiple messages on that video sign, but it like that's honestly people who keep saying he's coming back to Vanderbilt. His behavior in New York is the greatest indicator he's not coming back to Vanderbilt, because Vanderbilt would not have tolerated half of what he was doing.
yep,
They would have been on the phone telling him, "Hey, shut it down."
yep.
So the fact that he did all that crap and no one stopped him should be the biggest indicator that he's not returning.
Yep. And you know, that's another thing about it is uh he hurt his own draft stock. That's the stupidity of what he was doing. Not only did he burn bridges at Vanderbilt by acting the way he did, what NFL scout is looking at that going, "Yeah, I want some of that in my team." You know, that's what I want on my team. Somebody who can't even represent themselves well, much less our franchise. That was. I said, did he even have any draft stock? That's pretty good.
I think it would be interesting to hear what NFL executives where they did project him, because I think probably at least half of them would say no. And I think there's half that would be like, maybe sixth or seventh round if the draft goes a certain way. Um, but now I would say that's all no's.
Herb asked a really good question here. He said, "How many portal targets on defense do you see Knowles going after and Heupel goes after on offense?" That's a really good question, by the way. Hey, side note, while you're thinking about this, I'm going to give a plug. So it's interesting that you've asked this, Herb, because we actually talked to Austin Price 2 days ago, and we've got a really, really cool idea. Unique. I think it's a unique idea with Austin that's extremely similar to your question. And we're going to record a special episode whenever Austin has free time sometime this week. We were talking about it just, like I said, 2 days or yesterday or day before. And I think you're going to really enjoy it. Like, we'll post it whenever it gets recorded. It's going to be pretty neat. So what do you think, Rustin? Or you can even say, what positions do you think he goes after?
I would say a total of 10 in the portal. Without looking at our numbers, that's just a guess, because it is contingent on roster movement. Um, I would assume between empty spots and guys who will leave, we'll have about 10 spots to work with. If I had to guess, I'd say 3 on offense and 7 on defense. A quarterback, a tight end, and an offensive lineman on offense. On defense, ooh, 3 DBs, 2 linebackers, and 2 defensive linemen.
That's a pretty good starting point for sure. I mean, you at least you need there's needs all over the place, especially on defense. So you got to go after some folks at every level of the defense, just like Ruston was just saying. It's going to be
What you don't,
fascinating.
yeah, what you don't know is who could be available. That's the massive question mark that everybody's dealing with. And it'll be interesting to see come, January 1, how many Penn State defensive players are open to making a move and want to come with the coaches that they've been with.
Yep, and that's what David's wondering. He's like, I hope we get Tony Rojas as a linebacker. There's several guys that it'd be nice to have. I believe Aaron said, do you think Vandy can keep this up every year and compete for the playoffs and beat Tennessee every season? No, I do not. History would indicate that they can't. Diego seems to say that they have tons of more NIL money than people know about, but I don't know. Jonathan asked, who do we think would transfer from our team? Man, that's a great question. I think that there's probably a couple people that we can expect that are going to transfer, but I think there's going to be several. When I say several, at least 2 or 3. So I should say a few that are really going to surprise people. Like, whoa, what happened? Where'd that come from? And it's going to be because right now, over Christmas break, well, I'll say next Monday through Thursday. So the 22nd through the 25th of December, when the players are on their way back home, especially on, my goodness, Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, there are going to be so many text messages and phone calls and everything you could think of is going to be emails, WhatsApp messages. I mean, like there's going to be so many messages being sent to so many players all across the country on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, because coaches know that's when the players are going to be with their families. And they want to talk to them while they're sitting there with mom and dad and saying, hey, we can offer you $200,000 to come play here. We can offer you $400,000 to come play here. And they're going to be sitting there on Christmas, and they're going to be being the man, this is going to be a nice Christmas. We're going to make $400,000. And so somebody who gets double the money for going somewhere else, I believe Orange said, is it not illegal to get in contact?
It is, but you're not going to turn in every school in America.
There will be acquaintances with various football programs from all over the country contacting. There will be acquaintances with Tennessee's football program contacting kids all over the country.
Already are.
Talking to them, especially on Christmas, because that's when they're with their family. And all of a sudden, these kids are going to get back to campus and they'll be like, oh, by the way, I'm going to go to Miami now. And okay, now this is interesting. I just said that and I just looked down and David literally just mentioned Jacoby Thomas. He went to Miami last year. I mean, like that's the thing. Like, they're going to be getting phone calls, text messages. There will be at least 2 or 3 that totally blindside us, because money talks, man. Money talks. And so hopefully it's nobody significant. But money talks. And that's why I hope Adidas is pumping out some money. I hope that's what's going on. Well, Ruston, do you have any other comments about tonight?
Somebody asked, when does the portal close? I would just finish with this. First 2 weeks of January are going to be insane. You're going to
Yes, they are.
see rosters wholesale turnover, and in the middle of all that, Michigan still doesn't have a head coach. So there's going to be a bizarre over the next week and a half. There's going to be a bizarre domino effect because Michigan's got to be getting desperate.
Yeah.
And they're about to pay a lot of money for somebody who probably doesn't deserve it.
Yep.
But there's going to be a domino effect that's going to create absolute chaos
Because
because
their
that's
entire
still,
roster is on the market right now.
yeah, and that's still one of the top 5 jobs in America. It doesn't matter what the situation is. Michigan is a top 5 job. So it's going to be insane. So to answer that portal question, technically the portal closes on January 16th. If you are a player who is in the playoffs, you have an extra 5 days. So that's January 21. But if your coach gets fired, you get an extra 30-day window. So all of Michigan's players are in the portal right now, their entire roster. Some of them, because it overlaps with the actual portal, will get to stay in until January 16th. So whoever this hire is, they've got a big uphill climb, because those players, that entire roster has watched nothing but dysfunction, and they have been tampered with like none other. So there's about to be a lot of chaos. Like, this is just beginning.
Yep. I would be shocked at how many people leave Michigan after this. I mean, it's going to be unbelievable how many people leave. This has set their program back for potentially years. Just unbelievable.
We're probably watching the start of their decade of dysfunction.
Yes, absolutely. I believe Orange said, "Do you think Vandy has more money than Tennessee?" No, I don't.
No,
because
not
of
even
Adidas.
remotely close.
John, welcome, buddy. He said, "Will Banks rob any of our players? Potentially, because it's not just Banks."
I got a few I want him to take. Can we give suggestions?
Because it's not just Banks; it's also Alex Golish. You know, he would have been at Tennessee right at the beginning of some of the guys' recruitment before he went to South Florida. So, you know, that certainly could happen. David said that this investigation has detoured a lot of top coaches, especially keeping Ward Manuel. Yep, for sure. Rightfully so.
They fired him. They fired Ward Manuel.
Right. Jared said, "Would y'all take the Michigan Savion Hyder or wait and hope for DGG from Baylor?" Can I say both? Yeah, he said it too.
They're a year apart, and we've got the money. So why settle for one? You know, I guarantee you, Savion Hyder is strongly looking at Tennessee right now.
Oh yeah,
waiting on who they announce as this hire. But if they keep getting bad PR, and it's not over, like, they're still firing people. Yesterday, they launched an internal investigation to figure out how many people knew this was going on and tried to help cover it up. You don't launch an investigation and say that out loud unless you already know there are people. So there's more fires coming.
Yep. And you know, DGG, he's phenomenal. Kid is phenomenal. I mean, just unbelievable. He's got to get on campus. Like, he's got teammates who have already, you know, committed to Tennessee. They got to get him on campus. He's going to have Peyton Manning and, you know, right there with him all year this year and next year. Ty said he had 30 carries for 442 yards, 7 touchdowns in a playoff game. State semifinal. Yep. Never seen anything like it. Yep. David said Ward Manuel didn't get fired. I believe he did.
He did.
Not initially, but I think late Friday night, maybe it was. I can't remember, Thursday night. Let's see. Rebel G, welcome, buddy. Good to have you. But yeah, I mean, if you can get Hyder and DGG, you gotta try. I mean, you gotta try because your backfield will be stacked for you. And think if they could. I mean, think of what they could tell those guys. Like we would literally run the country, run the SEC in the country because those two dudes in the backfield. It'd be very much analogous to the Cadillac and when Carnell Tate and who was the other guy at Auburn in like 2010 maybe.
Cadillac Williams.
Yeah, not Carnell Tate. I don't know what I was thinking. Cadillac Williams, and there's somebody else back there. It was like a
Ronnie Brown.
Ronnie Brown, that's what it was. Yeah, Cadillac Williams and Ronnie Brown at Auburn. It would be very much analogous to that. Yeah, Greenway. Thank you, buddy. He just said Cadillac and Ronnie Brown. I mean, it would be just like that, having Hyder and DGG in our backfield. Like, game over. I mean, like, how can you stop that? Like, it's just, that's what we would want. That's what we would want. Well, I do appreciate all 317 people who watched tonight. That is awesome. We got 317 people across all three platforms. Ty said, what's your channel's show schedule? Just curious, thinking about joining. There's only a few Vols only shows that I like. So we live stream every Thursday night and Sunday night at 9:00. Elijah, hey, good night, buddy. Good to have you. Now, I do need to give one disclaimer. This Thursday night, we actually won't have a show because we both have parental duties that night. I won't be home until probably 9:45 at the earliest from my kids' stuff. So, but typically, normally, every Thursday and Sunday night at 9:00 p.m. That is pretty much always our schedule. Now, this week there will be, at some point, a bonus episode that will just be released on the YouTubes after we're able to record that with Austin Price. I'm supposed to talk with Austin tomorrow, find out what time works for him this week. It'll be a short, like 15-20 minute episode, and we'll get that recorded. You're going to want to see it. It's going to be pretty cool. I'm really excited about it, actually.
So I just realized what David was saying. So technically, Ward Manuel has not been officially fired. He was placed on leave pending investigation, but they've already been releasing all the violations that he committed during the investigation. And this goes back to what I was saying about Sharon Moore. So Ward Manuel's in the same boat as Sharon Moore. It's a Michigan HR law that's unique to the state of Michigan. They are required to give them essentially due diligence before they can officially terminate. So that's why it leaked out that Sharon Moore had been given like this leeway to commit these crimes, and the university hadn't acted. In reality, the university was going through the state due process before they were allowed to terminate. Ward Manuel's in that same timeline right now, but everybody there knows he's going to be fired when this timeline ends because they're already releasing the evidence of what he did. So, they're in that same Michigan HR window where they have to prove out due diligence. But at the end of this window, Ward Manuel will be fired. It will be official.
Mississippi Vols said, go Vols, baby. That's what I'm talking about. David said, good night, Vol Bros. God bless you. Hey, God bless you too, man. I appreciate that very much. Let's see here. John said, dang, I'm going to have to go a full week without the Vol Bros. He said, I'll see everybody Sunday night then. I hope everybody stays warm. Has a great week. Yeah, no kidding. I hope everybody stays warm because, woo, buddy. This is going to be a tough night for water heaters and furnaces across the country. It is really cold out there right now. Dester, he said, as normal, great show. Thank you so much, buddy. I appreciate that. I hope you have a great week as well. I believe Aaron said, do you think he still got fired even if they made the playoffs? With the stuff that he's
100%.
done, I don't know how he couldn't get fired.
Well, even before the legal stuff with the assault and everything else, hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. She went to the university administration with the receipts, not the athletic department administration. And the university administration and the board of directors are who pulled the trigger on all this. It wasn't the athletic department administration. So, yeah, as soon as she showed up to the president and board with the receipts, he was getting fired.
Well, like I said, I hope everybody does stay warm tonight. Thank you all for joining us. Be on the lookout. And as soon as I find out what time we're going to be able to record that with Austin, I'll let you know on the Twitters and the Facebooks and the Instagrams and stuff. But as you know, we hope keep an eye out for that because you're going to love it. I'm excited about it for sure. And we look forward to seeing everybody next Sunday. That'll be the 21st. So we look forward to seeing everybody then. Go Vols, baby. And we will see you very soon.